this election was always going to be you and me versus extreme MAGA Republicans. It was true yesterday, and it will be true tomorrow.
Down, boy. Down, Joe. We're not quite there yet. And according to a new poll, voters would take any of the Republican candidates over you.
So slow your roll, Joe. Voters in New Hampshire are next in deciding who you'll face in the 2024 ring. Let's bring in co-host of Outnumbered on Fox News, former White House press secretary Kayleigh McEnany. Kayleigh, terrific to see you. On to New Hampshire, and the fable a lot of Nikki Haley supporters will tell you is, independence. She has strengths that offset Trump's weaknesses. And she beats Biden in a multitude of head-to-head polls when Trump does not. And it's not true. He is ahead in the Real Clear Politics average of Biden by 1.1 points, and she is not ahead of Biden by as much, 0.4 points. How do you see it in New Hampshire, Kayleigh?
You know, so here's where they're right and here's where they're wrong. Nikki Haley's team would say independents, Democrats can vote in New Hampshire. We have a chance. And they're right. They do have a chance. There was a poll out today that showed a tie between her and Trump in New Hampshire because the Christie votes come over to Nikki Haley. But here's where they're miscalculating. The Ramaswamy votes, which are about 5-6%, those go to Trump, which I believe will put him over the edge in New Hampshire. And let's say, just for the sake of argument, Nikki Haley's team is right. They pull out a victory in New Hampshire. Tons of Democrats and independents come out. They're staring down South Carolina. Yes, it is her home state, but South Carolina, home to a lot of evangelicals, home to a lot of strong conservatives, looking more like Iowa than it does New Hampshire, has Trump with a commanding lead. And then you start staring down Super Tuesday, where you have states across the country that more organically fit towards Trump. So, look, she could have a good night in New Hampshire. This could end up becoming a two-person race if DeSantis drops out. But ultimately, Trump has such a hold on this party. And we saw that last night when he didn't just beat history and make history, he crushed history.
He crushed history. And I think I was watching last night on Fox News talking about kind of the curse of the Iowa caucuses. Those who win in Iowa oftentimes don't go on and win the presidency, but no one wins with 51% of the vote. No one's been a former president. So you do think, as you look forward, that this is, I'm not going to say the race is over because everyone has a chance to vote, but you do think that this is closing in and Donald Trump's going to be the nominee?
I think there's no doubt about it. I mean, Sean, the historical norms, which you know very well, you cited them there. This is a historical moment because you have a former president running. As you both know, last time that happened was the 1800s. So you essentially have an incumbent running, even though he's not technically an incumbent. I think he has this locked up because, and I think this is the key point, Nikki Haley's saving grace in New Hampshire, if she is to pull out a victory or come close, is the fact that Ron DeSantis is still in. I know lots of Ron DeSantis voters. I'm from Florida. I know the type of voter who looks at him and says, this is my guy. They see a conservative executive. And those voters, if DeSantis were to drop out, they go to Trump. So ultimately, I think Trump has a lock on a huge thrust of this electorate, the Vivek vote, the DeSantis vote, and the Trump vote. I don't think DeSantis votes go to Nikki Haley.
Speaking of President Trump, I want you to listen to MSNBC refusing to air President Trump's victory speech. CNN cut away from it. Here's Rachel Maddow on cutting away from Trump's speech. Let's listen to Rachel Maddow.
There is a reason that we and other news organizations have generally stopped giving an unfiltered live platform to remarks by former President Trump. It is not out of spite. It is not a decision that we relish. It is a decision that we regularly revisit. And honestly, earnestly, it is not an easy decision. But there is a cost to us as a news organization of knowingly broadcasting untrue things.
Which they did on the Russia collusion hoax for how many years, Kayleigh? But where does this lead that network on how they handle President Trump as he runs, but if he is elected president again?
That's not journalism. And CNN did it too. This infuriates me, especially if you watch CNN, Jake Tapper saying, You can hear me talk right now, and underneath my voice, you can hear Trump, and he's spewing anti-immigrant rhetoric. Let Donald Trump speak for himself. He is the front runner for the Republican Party, arguably has half of the nation behind him. We'll see in November, but it's a huge portion of the country. And you don't let this person speak? Instead, Jake Tapper's going to speak for him and summarize what he's saying. Rachel Maddow's going to say, we're not letting the frontrunner of the Republican Party speak. What a joke. That is not journalism. That's not what happens in functioning democracies. That is what happens in autocracies when you have journalists who are state-run media.
I think it's interesting. Rachel Maddow says that MSNBC is a news organization, which they couldn't be further from the truth. But it's interesting. I think what they're afraid of is that when Donald Trump actually speaks, and they saw this in 2016, when they carry his speeches, he actually wins voters because voters listen to him, even whether it's on Fox, MSNBC, or CNN, and they're like, I agree with this guy. He's spot on. And so they don't want to play him to their viewers. All the while, a lot of non-liberal organizations have no problem playing Joe Biden because when you play him, he doesn't make sense. He's not in touch with people. And by the way, he's mentally decrepit. So the distinction between not playing Trump and others playing Joe Biden is rich.
It is. And yeah, MSNBC, there's something special in the drinking water there. I watched a portion of that commentary. It was just off the chain. But to your point, they don't want to give Trump a platform to speak. And I think a lot of this goes back, Sean, to 2016, where CNN aired all of his rallies. And by the way, their ratings went up, nowhere near Fox, but nevertheless, they got a little bump because they were playing Trump and people like to hear Trump. They were then blamed for making Trump president of the United States. You gave viewers unfiltered access to him, and they liked what they heard. So I think a lot of these journalists sitting in their ivory towers, way up in their Manhattan skyscrapers or in the swamp at D.C., they don't want to give viewers, voters, unfiltered access to Trump because that means they could then be blamed should Donald Trump become president again.
But there's one thing that these left-wing nitwits cannot get past, and that is the American people have been the victim of the intentional suffering and misery inflicted upon them by Joe Biden. And they can't explain it away. And they feel it. And they're angry. And so they've tried to make excuses for inflation and everything horrible that's gone on in this economy. And Kayleigh, I heard you last night talking about that new ABC poll where Biden's approval fell to 33%. And women, it's at, 31% for women. But among young Black Americans under the age of 50, it's also below his average at 32%. And President Trump did the exact opposite in terms for people's prosperity.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, I remember being on the campaign trail with Trump, as White House press secretary. So not when I was on the campaign, but in the White House, and this Wall Street Journal editorial coming out, and it talked about wage gains for Black Americans, for Latino Americans, higher than ever before in history. Every group was gaining. And then COVID hit, and as you know, everything had to pause and be shut down, and it was ultimately a game changer, among many other things, media suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop and other things that they did to swing the election. However, the economy was good, and people remember those days. And Dagan, what was the top issue last night? The top issue, right, 41%, was immigration. It's just like the cycle's repeating itself. 2016, build the wall, the border's in chaos. They never learn, but they will have a dirty trick up their sleeve. Make no mistake about it.
Here we go again. Kayleigh McEnany, it was a pleasure. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.